Tonight, anger and confusion as Melbourne races to reopen. A major concert approved, but retailers and hospitality are forced to stay shut. Emotional reunions at Melbourne Airport as border restrictions and quarantine rules are wound back. Australian cricket great Michael Slater arrested in his home and charged. Third vaccine booster shots on the way before Christmas. And new leads as the search for 4-year-old Cleo ramps up.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. Melbourne is racing to be ready to reopen with just 30 hours to go before we come out of lockdown. Retailers and hospitality operators are fighting rules that stop them from opening, while the government has approved plans for a music concert attended by thousands.
Ending lockdown by turning up the volume. 4,000 music fans at Sydney Myer Music Bowl, October 30. A vaccine passport trial with headline musicians like AFL Grand Final performer Baker Boy.
You got to let beat, can't catch that beat, take a deep breath.
Performers, crew, staff and the crowd must be fully vaccinated. At last, a live event that probably won't be cancelled by COVID.
Seriously, this is going to go off like a Cold Chisel tribute band at the Burvale on a Saturday night. Like, it's going to go off.
An exciting moment for a city coming back to life, but some retailers say it's out of tune to allow thousands here, but nobody in a store.
Please give us a level playing field. Please allow retail to open safely and in line with other industries that have been given the green light come tomorrow.
2 months from Christmas, shop owners say they're losing crucial time.
Concerts are great, but for God's sake, get people back to work.
They must wait for 80% double vaxxed. Hospitality prepares to open at 70% tomorrow night. Arbory Afloat can have 50 people on its outdoor deck.
We're all up for this vaccine mandate, so we're really working hard. Everyone in the team's double vaccinated.
Nick Bennett admits it'll look a bit empty to start, but says it's still important to open.
It's a long time without it, so there is a bit of recovery, and look, hopefully it can get back to normal reasonably quick.
The Victorian government's been ordered by the Information Commissioner to release secret briefings of public health orders behind our lockdowns. The response? Well drilled.
The Department of Health is considering that request and will respond accordingly in due course. The Department of Health is considering that determination by OBIC and will be making a determination in due course. And it's up to the Department of Health to consider that request and make a determination.
1,841 new cases in Victoria today. As hopes rise, we're trending down after our pandemic peak last Thursday. But deaths are on the rise. 12 more Victorians have lost their lives to COVID-19. In Sydney, life beyond 80% is returning to normal as experts hit out at Melbourne's strict lockdowns and comparatively conservative roadmap.
And if New South Wales shows us it's safe, there's no reason why other states in Australia can't follow, including Victoria, in the same way.
At its peak, New South Wales had more than 1,200 people in hospital, 242 in intensive care and 118 on a ventilator. Victoria has far fewer hospitalisations so far and less demand on ICU and ventilators.
It shows us how these vaccinations are working to keep those serious cases at bay.
And Blake Johnson joins us now. Blake, there has been a backdown on rules for tomorrow night's curfew.
And it means, Pete, that those staff rostered on to work that first midnight shift tomorrow can actually get to work on time. They've been told they can leave home at 9 p.m. to come to work, but customers wanting to make the most of that first midnight session were told today they have to wait until curfew ends at 11:59 p.m. before they can leave their home. Unvaccinated children may attend these venues if they're not eligible for a vaccine, but they must be accompanied by a fully vaxxed parent or guardian. Pete?
Blake Johnson in Carlton, thank you. The hospitality industry is fuming as it fights to come out of lockdown. It's pleading for an 11th hour reprieve after vaccine confusion left some of our hotels, restaurants and cafes unable to open.
A Bunnings pop-up vaccination hub for tradies helps Victoria stampede to our 70% double dose target. But James Arthur has had just one dose. The dishwasher at Postino thought he had until November 26 to get his second jab. But the government insists to work on Friday, hospitality workers must be fully vaccinated.
I'll lose my job tomorrow night. It's my last shift until I'm double jabbed.
He's also an orderly at the William Angliss Hospital. Ironically, he can still work there with just one dose.
It's ridiculous that that we're looking after sick, elderly people. Some are on their deathbeds, but I can't wash dishes by myself in the back of the restaurant.
It just seems a bit silly. The mandate to have everyone double vaccinated is a good idea, but just the time frame is just ridiculous.
At the Village Bell Hotel, sous chef David Warren also cannot work from Friday because he's had one dose.
It's a bit heartbreaking, to be honest. You want to be there for the team, you want to get back into the kitchen, doing what you love.
The industry is fuming.
From day to day, we're never quite sure what's going on, and I won't be sort of certain we're open until we get to Friday and we're open.
On Friday, teachers, personal trainers, marriage celebrants, faith leaders, taxi drivers can all work with just one vaccine dose, but chefs, baristas, waiters, kitchen hands and bartenders must be fully vaxxed. The government insists. The industry knew about this last month.
It doesn't seem like an unreasonable proposition to me.
But for some restaurants around Melbourne, it's simply too hard. They will not be able to open on Friday. At Mark Mitzi's Nana's place, too many staff can't work, prompting this appeal.
Reconsider, please, Mr. Andrews, because this is killing us.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
Families have come back together in emotional scenes at Melbourne Airport thanks to the easing of border restrictions with New South Wales. It's a different story for Victorians stranded overseas and a big tennis star.
There were big hugs from little people as mums were reunited with their daughters. Sons returned to see their parents.
Super relieved, super excited. It's been stressful.
The New South Wales border finally reopened without quarantine for the fully vaccinated for the first time since July.
Friday should be out with the friends and having a drink and having a great time. So will I, by the way. So.
Victorians stranded overseas are also hoping to come home. A 7-day home quarantine trial will begin next week when 200 passengers from London land in Melbourne. But as for scrapping our hotel quarantine program like New South Wales,
we've got issues in relation to borders opening up, and how do you treat people who have been double vaccinated as those who have only been single vaccinated or not vaccinated at all.
The rules are set in stone when it comes to athletes arriving for the Australian Open. They'll be forced to reveal their vaccination status if they want to get in.
Our rules are very clear. They apply to everyone without fear or favour. It doesn't matter whether you are number one in the world or you're anything else.
Novak Djokovic has refused to disclose if he's vaccinated, a move that could put an end to his Australian Open winning streak.
Our rules are about protecting Australians, and they apply to everybody.
Chanel Vella, 7 News.
VRC members and corporates will get the bulk of the 10,000 tickets to the 2021 Melbourne Cup. Just 500 will be allocated to the general public. The tickets start at $129 each. It's also been confirmed 10,000 racegoers will be allowed on track for Oaks and Stakes Day. The Mornington Peninsula is preparing for a rush of visitors when the Melbourne travel limit lifts. Mike Amor is at Mornington tonight, and Mike, there are mixed emotions among the locals there.
There are, Mitch. Phones have been ringing off the hook for reservations ahead of restrictions easing on Friday. This coastal location is certainly going to be busy as Metro Melbourne's travel limits are scrapped. That means Mornington Peninsula is able to welcome us back. The picture-perfect peninsula, 30 hours from reopening, and there's excitement.
It's been so quiet down here. It'll be so nice to see everyone back.
The tourism hotspot is classified as metropolitan Melbourne, forcing it into the world record lockdown with the rest of the city.
We are definitely happy to celebrate reopening and everything that we've missed.
Already, the streets are back buzzing.
Most of our regulars and customers, they're so happy to come back and sit in, have a coffee and an actual glass or cup.
But neighbouring retailers can't welcome those customers inside.
I've been getting text messages and phone calls saying, "Hey, fantastic, Annie, you can open." No, I can't open, I'm sorry. I'm like a market stall now. We're on the street.
The Rocks restaurant was raring to go, but say they've been blindsided by government rules requiring fully vaccinated workers.
We were short-staffed as it was. And now it's even worse. So how we open this weekend, it's going to be a struggle.
There's a simple plea before the weekend rush.
Inevitably, it will be busy, and we need everyone to be very patient because operators are going to be doing the best that they can in some very challenging circumstances.
To everyone who's coming down this weekend, please, come with patience, come with kindness and, open hearts, please.
Mike Amor, 7 News.
Now here's a look at the state of play in Victoria. After 1,841 new cases and 12 more deaths, 89.2% of the state has had at least one dose of a vaccine. 69.3% are double dosed, meaning we're all but certain to reach the 70% milestone tomorrow. The 80% double vax target is also moving closer. We're now due to reach it on October the 30th, Derby Day. Cricket great Michael Slater has been charged over an alleged domestic violence incident. The former Test batsman spent much of the day inside a police station, staying silent as he left.
After 6 hours in police custody,
we come through, please.
The 51-year-old Test cricketer emerged with his lawyer.
What happened? If we could please just get through.
If he wanted to offer an explanation,
make an apology. Any statement at all? Do you have any statement at all?
His lawyer was having none of it.
Michael's got nothing to say. He's exercising his right to silence.
Michael Slater was arrested this morning at his Sydney home, taken to the local police station where detectives carried out their investigation. In a statement, police said they commenced an investigation after receiving reports of a domestic violence incident alleged to have occurred on Tuesday, 12 October. That's just days after he finished up with 7. Earlier this year, he criticised Prime Minister Scott Morrison over his firm border policy, blocking Australians returning from India. The 51-year-old is now facing 2 charges, one of using his mobile phone to menace, harass or offend, and a second of stalk or intimidate. He'll face Waverley Court next month. Evan Batten, 7 News.
A major police investigation is underway after a train derailed south of Sydney. The train smashed into a car parked on the tracks at Wollongong at 4:15 this morning.
It doesn't appear to be a case of a simple breakdown, and the fact that someone's run from the scene prior to it indicates it's either deliberate or some sort of misadventure driving the car in that area on the tracks.
12 people had to be rescued and 3, including the driver, were taken to hospital. Detectives searching for missing 4-year-old Cleo Smith have turned their attention to known sex offenders in the area. She's now been missing for 5 days in remote Western Australia after vanishing from her family's tent.
The nationwide search for Cleo Smith starts here at the family campsite turned crime scene 50 kilometres north of Carnarvon. There's no tent left, no car, but hopefully vital clues for forensics. Also under the microscope, up to 20 known sexual predators in the wider area that could have set their sights on Cleo.
It's very concerning. It's now 5 days since Cleo was last seen.
Parents Ellie and Jake yesterday revealed they believe their daughter was taken from their tent on Saturday morning.
She would never leave that tent alone.
A mother's intuition, supported by former Detective Chief Inspector Mike Neville, who worked on the Madeleine McCann case.
The fact that it's a potential or very likely to be an abduction, that the police will continue to treat this, that she's still alive until there's definite evidence that she's not.
33 years at Scotland Yard has taught him one thing, if anything.
The key thing is that the parents don't give up hope.
At the edge of the search zone lie the salt flats of Lake McLeod that continue like this for kilometres. Investigators are confident that if little Cleo wandered off, she must still be in the scrub. Otherwise, she would have been spotted somewhere out here. Aiding the effort today was the Army. 4 specialists searching side by side with SES as it becomes more difficult to catch the clock in the race to find Cleo. In McLeod, Western Australia, Ben Downey, 7 News.
COVID booster shots are set to be administered before Christmas. Aged care residents will be eligible for their 3rd jab next month as Australia enters the next phase of our reopening plan.
Reaching the 70% double dose target of all those aged over 16, apparently a mission worthy of James Bond.
To be precise, 70.007% of Australians. It's a memorable number.
Most of the changes the target triggers are already underway. The next target of 80% expected to be reached within weeks.
One of the highest vaccination rates of anywhere in the world.
With booster shots now planned to begin before Christmas, starting with aged care residents next month. The Targi expert immunisation group meeting next week expected to recommend a mix and match approach, with those double dosed with AstraZeneca getting a Pfizer or Moderna booster.
If I was a betting person, which I'm not, that would be likely to be along those lines.
There's some good evidence that you actually get quite a good reaction, if not a better reaction, sometimes when you mix those vaccines.
Unlike the staggered approach in the first phase of vaccinations forced by the rollout bungles, this time the plan is for all age groups to be eligible for the booster from the same time, once final approval is granted. Mark Riley, 7 News.
Melbourne is used to seeing the Yarra River brown, but it's a shock to see Port Phillip Bay the same colour. Rest assured, authorities say it's not due to pollution and there is no health risk. The unappetising tinge is caused by mud and silt flowing into the bay from storm water after recent rain. History beckons on Saturday. Tim Watson, there's a newcomer on the scene for the Cox Plate.
Yes, Mitch, and she's got the hot favourite too. Zaki cooled his heels at Altona Beach this morning. Hear how trainer Annabelle Neesham is dealing with the nerves. And brotherly love is put to the test as the Mackay twins step up their pre-season training.
You might have got me once, I reckon, but I reckon by the end of the pre-season I'll have him comfortably with.
Yeah. Mitch, we have the numbers and it's categorically I'm in front. So
well, you're 2 years into the program, I'm 1, not even.
So it's not a competition, but I'm quicker.
You're the one making the competition, that's all right.
The full chat with the Carlton and North Melbourne Stars ahead in sport. Looking forward to that. Plus details on a shock test cricket retirement, Mitch.
OK, thank you very much, Tim. A supermarket giant is taking drastic steps after a violent attack. Next, it's happened in Brunswick, but it will be felt right across the nation. Also coming up, the staggering and expensive fallout for Melbourne NBA star Ben Simmons. Retail staff under attack in a COVID backlash. Hail the size of mangoes breaks Australian weather records. And later, new options to protect your cash when you travel. A court has heard an Islamic State follower is proud of herself for committing a second terrorist attack and wants to carry out a third. Momina Sharma has pleaded guilty to terror offences after trying to stab a fellow prisoner with garden shears last October. The Bangladeshi student was already in jail for 42 years for attempting to kill a man who'd let her stay at his home. Prosecutors say she remains devoted to ISIS and prospects of rehabilitation are, quote, dim. Woolworths has taken the extraordinary step of banning the sale of knives and scissors in every supermarket across Australia. The decision made after a stabbing inside a supermarket in Melbourne's north.
A random stabbing by a customer waiting in line at a Woolies checkout prompted the supermarket giant to take drastic action. Knives and scissors pulled from sale at over 1,000 stores nationwide. This sign spotted on the Gold Coast, 1,700 kilometres from the scene of the crime.
They're obviously in the process of trying to protect their workers, and it is an extreme measure to have to go to.
The 20-year-old is facing attempted murder charges, accused of stabbing a security guard and a fellow customer at the Berkeley Square store in Brunswick on Monday.
There was a man running around with a knife. He threatened to kill me.
It reflects a disturbing trend.
We've seen quite a significant increase in people involved in retail crime.
In the past year, Victorian retailers reported a 71% increase in offenders carrying a weapon, an 80% increase in aggressive behaviour and a 109% increase in customers who are intoxicated. Woolies says this extraordinary move to ban knives from its stores is precautionary and temporary, while it undergoes a risk assessment and determines its next move.
We never want to see any of our workers put in a position where their life could be threatened or they could be injured. I think this is the right step under those circumstances.
But they'll still be on the shelves at other supermarkets like Coles. Sonia Marinelli, 7 News.
And security cameras have captured an appalling COVID crime. Video shows a customer flying into a rage and attacking a supermarket worker when he was asked to wear a face mask.
Well, this is absolutely abhorrent behaviour from anybody to be assaulting anyone, particularly small businesses, which have been really suffering.
The man was arrested while the victim was taken to hospital with facial injuries. Box Hill basketball superstar Ben Simmons has been suspended from his NBA team after refusing to take part in a training session. His frustrated Philadelphia coach and teammates say they've had enough.
A begrudging return from self-imposed exile, Ben Simmons back on court, but in long pants and with a phone in his pocket, his half-hearted efforts only fueling simmering tensions with teammates.
We have breaking news out of Philadelphia. Ben Simmons suspended by the Sixers.
We don't get paid to come out here and, try to babysit somebody.
Seen shirking a team huddle yesterday, the 25-year-old Australian today officially on the outer, slapped with a one-match ban.
It was a distraction today. I didn't think he wanted to do what everybody else was doing. I just told him he should leave then.
And the question now, how will he make it back?
When people ask you to be a better basketball player and they're paying you $35-40 million, that's a very fair thing.
Relations between the Sixers and Simmons soured after a difficult season. Philly fans turned on their former #1 draft pick, leading the Australian to openly request a trade at season's end. It fell through, so he boycotted this month's training camp and practice matches.
At this point, I don't care about that man, honestly. He does whatever he wants.
Simmons. Misses again. It may have cost him respect, but at $470,000 a game and now this suspension, Ben's stand has also cost him more than $2.2 million in match fines.
Ben Simmons deserves #1 the blame.
A bitter blame game that's only just tipped off. In the United States, David Woywood, 7 News.
Ferocious storms have swept across New South Wales and Queensland. A shopping centre was evacuated in Coffs Harbour after a ceiling collapsed in a clothing store. In far north Queensland, hail the size of mangoes smashed records and windscreens.
Look at the size of this one. It was just like a lawn bowl's size.
16 centimetres, and that will overtake at least the largest hailstone recorded in Australia.
The area is on alert for more damaging storms. We're now joined by Jane Bunn, who is at Mornington this evening. And Jane, that sunshine was absolutely delightful today.
Oh, Mitch, what a glorious day we've had. Bright sunshine let temperatures jump up. They reach the low 20s around the bay and a bit of a sea breeze, while outer suburbs are in the mid-20s. Today was the nicest in terms of bright sunshine, but it's staying warm and dry for the next couple of days. Then, just as we get out of lockdown, the weather turns once again. I would prepare for cold air and rain if you're heading out on Friday night. I'll have more on that after sport, Mitch.
Thanks, Jane. Thousands of young Victorians trying to get their driver's licence have been left in limbo for months. Next, the extraordinary backlog and what's being done to fix it. Also, a father and son killed in a deadly attack. A horror plane crash, but somehow everyone on board survived. And a heartfelt reunion with the police officers turned lifesavers. Young Victorians desperate to get behind the wheel are facing further delays, even as restrictions ease. Lockdowns mean almost 40,000 have been unable to sit their driving tests, creating a huge backlog.
Georgia Saunders' dreams of driving were stalled by lockdown. Today, she finally received an exemption to take her driving test.
For me, it means that my mum has to stop working to drive me around places to the bus stop.
Ms Saunders is one of 36,000 people who had their driving test cancelled when lockdown began in August. 54,000 learner and hazard perception tests were also scrapped. Private driving lessons can start again when restrictions ease on Friday, but Vic Roads is expecting to be swamped with bookings for driving tests, which resume when we reach the 80% double dose mark.
We are giving priority bookings to those people that have had an in-person drive test cancelled, and the Department of Transport staff will start contacting those people from as early as next week.
It could mean 18-year-olds who only qualified recently will go to the back of the queue and have to wait months for a booking. There are fears for road safety, with learner drivers now 2.5 months out of practice. They're being urged to increase their practice hours and perfect their skills before booking a driving test.
So the standard of driving, I have seen a little bit of a dip. So hopefully when we get back, it'll give us a real chance to spend some time with people and really get them back to where they should be.
Jodie Lee, 7 News.
A zip line over the Yarra River is set to bring visitors and adrenaline seekers back to the city. The adventurous can travel 130 metres across the water at speeds of up to 40 kilometres per hour from Federation Square to the Alexandra Gardens.
I think it's going to give us thrills, hopefully no spills, but certainly a really fabulous reason for people to come back into Melbourne.
It'll be up and running through December to help reinvigorate our CBD. Gangland warfare has erupted on the streets of Sydney with a father and son shot dead. The two men are members of a notorious crime family as police launch a major operation to hunt down the killer.
Up close, it is horrific. An 18-year-old dead on the ground and the final moments of his father's life, shot in the head in a barrage of bullets. Salim and Tufik were likely targeted because of the name they share, Hamzi.
This is another appalling crime in a long list of gangland-style shootings that have taken place in southwest Sydney.
It was an ambush. The men were on their way to work just before 9 this morning. A family friend tells 7 News Dad was keeping his son close, out of trouble, when trouble found them both. Up to 12 shots as they sat in Salim's ute adorned with a P-plate, while Salim Hamzi was no stranger to police.
We don't know of any involvement in any crime that the father had.
I woke up and people were screaming and I heard bangs. It just sounded like gunshots.
When I went out, I saw fire and then I got really scared.
It's too early for a motive, but police know this arena.
Violent crime in regards to getting their message across to individuals who are competing against them in the drug turf.
Robert Ovadia, 7 News.
Investigators are stunned after 21 people survived this fiery plane crash in Texas. The private jet careered off the runway and crashed through a fence before bursting into flames.
I saw in the rearview mirror, I just saw it go boom, and it was a big orange explosion.
2 passengers were taken to hospital, but the rest walked from the wreckage uninjured. They swore an oath to help the public. Now 2 Bayside police officers have taken the promise to the next level. They've saved the life of a man who was having a heart attack, and now he's been able to say thank you in person.
For grandfather Stuart Mellington,
nice to meet you, mate.
this was a chance to shake the hands that saved his life.
You guys were instrumental in pulling me through. A bit emotional. Yeah. They've done a great job, and without them, I wouldn't be here, that's for sure.
Mr Mellington went into cardiac arrest while on an afternoon walk with wife Caroline in July. First Constable Benjamin Hahn and Senior Constable Troy Martin got the call.
I think it was lucky, we were right place, right time.
They immediately began CPR.
To be honest, not good. Stuart wasn't breathing, he was cold and he was blue to touch.
But after 10 minutes of compressions, Mr Mellington regained consciousness.
I think if you asked anyone in Victoria Police why they joined, the first thing they would say is to help people.
Yeah, this is definitely the best thing I've ever done in the police force, and like I said, it's going to stay with me for the rest of my life.
Police are urging those who are thinking of enrolling into a first aid course once further restrictions ease to do so, because it might just save a life.
Get onto one of those CPR courses, get educated, be confident in what you need to do.
All I can say is do it.
Just do it.
Don't worry about breaking a rib. It's wonderful to feel pain at the end of it because the alternative's not real flesh.
Cassie Zervos, 7 News.
Well done to the boys in blue. Australians preparing to head overseas again are being told to check the fine print on their money options. Details are next. Also, the road in the northeast declared Melbourne's most dangerous. The moment that brought the Health Minister to tears, and an alarming new insight into osteoporosis. A notorious road in Melbourne's northeast has been labelled the city's worst car crash location again. Plenty Road in Bundoora has topped the list of crash hotspots for the 4th year in a row. 2 parts of Springvale Road at Glen Waverley and Springvale came in 2nd and 3rd on the AAMI Insurance Crash Index list. The index also found Tuesdays and Thursdays are the worst days of the week for crashes. It's been a strong day on the markets as the Australian dollar surges. Here's finance editor Gemma Acton.
Thanks, Peter. A strong day for many companies propelled the ASX 200 to its highest close in more than a month, adding 39 points to reach 7,414. Shares in Kogan leapt. That was after the online retailer's positive update on sales and customer growth. The Aussie dollar has hit a 4-month high and continues to push upwards, while oil is taking a breather after tearing higher in recent months. And after last year's near record-breaking winter crop, Australian farmers are on track for another outstanding year. Overall output is forecast to drop by 5%, but that'll still leave it 25% above the 5-year average. Peter.
Thanks, Gemma. Health Minister Greg Hunt has wiped away tears after revealing his children have been subjected to vile death threats in the past.
So, as a country, we have to, I think, relearn the value of respect.
Mr Hunt condemned recent attacks on politicians, with the Northern Territory Chief Minister also forced to flee his home after anti-vaccine activists leaked his address. There are claims millions of Australians are at risk of breaking bones and don't even know it. A report for World Osteoporosis Day found only half of people who'd broken a bone had undergone a bone density test, and the majority weren't taking preventative medication. More than 6 million older Australians have poor bone health. Australians will soon be able to fly overseas again, but there's a warning to avoid getting caught in a travel trap. Experts say too many people are overlooking bank fees and end up paying the price.
Caitlin Merland is getting ready for her first international trip in 2 years.
One of the, best things about lockdown was, not going out and spending as much money. So I've been saving twice as much.
Savings she doesn't plan to waste on bank fees. Paying overseas with a debit card is simple, but you can be stung with ATM fees from your own bank and the machine provider, currency conversion fees, and a poor exchange rate. Credit cards can offer perks like insurance, lounge passes and rewards, but can also come with hefty cash withdrawal and conversion charges. Don't forget to also check annual fees and interest rates. And tell your bank you're travelling.
If they see a series of foreign transactions, they could actually freeze your account.
Travel cards and apps let you load up multiple currencies and can offer better exchange rates, low fees and rewards. But watch out for hidden fees.
You can get hit with ATM withdrawal fees, currency conversion fees in some cases, inactivity fees.
Caitlin uses a travel app.
The sign-up process is really quick, and the fact that it's all in an app on your smartphone, it's a lot easier to track what you're spending.
Take a few payment options with you in case one account or card gets lost, stolen or hacked. And always have some local cash on hand. You never know when you may need it.
Gemma Acton, 7 News.
Now we've got the first look at Nicole Kidman playing comedy legend Lucille Ball in a new movie. Being the Ricardos takes place over a week of the classic 1960s TV show.
I work side by side.
Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the show. And action.
I had no idea it was going to be a hit.
Lucille Ball's children have praised the Australian actor's performance. A Cox Plate trainer has a big dilemma. Tim Watson, it could be a historic day on Saturday.
Mitch, celebrations might look a little different. We'll explain why next as hot favourite Zaki enjoys a morning dip in the Bay ahead of the biggest race of his career. The Mackay twins, with the need for speed stepping up their family rivalry in the off-season, the Aussie bowler who's pulled up stumps ahead of the Ashes, and the Stars come out for the opening day of the NBA season. Welcome back. The trainer of Cox Plate favourite Zaki is contemplating a last-minute dash from Sydney to be at Moonee Valley this Saturday. Annabelle Neesham can complete a stunning rise to sit alongside some of the greats of Aussie racing.
Soaking up the sunshine on a perfect spring morning, a splash in the bay at Altona Beach has become a daily ritual for Cox Plate favourite Zaki, although for trainer Annabelle Neesham this week has been anything but routine.
This time last year, I was happy with my first winner at Scone, and then I think the second winner was at Goulburn. So, yeah, if you'd said to me in a year's time you're going to have the favourite, the Cox Plate, then I certainly wouldn't have believed you.
Just 14 months into her solo training career, the UK-born, Sydney-based Neesham is a star on the rise, now with a chance to create history as just the third female to train a Cox Plate winner.
Is it life-changing for a trainer to win a Cox Plate?
I think so. Although having said that, it's not about just winning one race and thank you very much, see you later. It's the more you win, probably the more you want to win.
Neesham isn't just saddling up the favourite in Zaki, she's also got Mo'unga, Zaki's stablemate, named after All Blacks superstar Richie Mo'unga. It's not without a chance, with jockey Hugh Bowman on board paying around the $15. The All Black also has a 5% stake in his namesake.
I'm quite into my rugby. Yeah, I've had a couple of messages back and forth with him. I'm surprised he's not shorter in the market. I think he's an excellent chance.
Meantime, the Simon Wild-trained Tralee Rose has taken out the Geelong Cup to cement its place in this year's Melbourne Cup field. Andrew McCormack, 7 News.
A Coleman medal season from Harry Mackay has inspired twin brother Ben to lift his off-season workload. The emerging stars are still yet to meet on an AFL field, but they're training together while rekindling an intense rivalry.
After a breakout 2021 built off new summer training, Harry knew Ben was watching.
I think it might have just been seeing that I had an alright year and wanted to jump on board, but I'm happy to have him down.
The Roos backman joining the Blues spearhead this summer at the Speed Project, using sprint techniques to find an extra edge.
As Harry said, you always work on your weaknesses, so I want to try and get a bit quicker and a bit more explosive, which will only help my game.
If we can improve their 0 to 10, 0 to 20 time, we can improve their lateral movement. That just gives them advantage to be in front of their opponent.
Just 6 weeks in, Harry's recovered from shoulder surgery to first hit 32 kilometres an hour, with both improving by 10%. Ben coming with a rush after a recent knee setback.
I reckon by the end of the pre-season I'll have him comfortable with Mitch. Yeah. Mitch, we have the numbers and it's categorically I'm in front. So you're 2 years into the program, I'm 1, not even. So it's not a competition, but I'm quicker. You're the one making a competition, that's all right.
After 13 years sharing a bedroom and 6 years in the AFL, they're still yet to play against each other, and fans can expect fireworks when it finally happens in 2022.
It's kind of building the suspense a bit, Mitch. So yeah, obviously Ben trying to get a little bit quicker. He might need it come game day.
And it came close this year before Harry pulled out with a broken foot.
I thought he was actually just joking, to be honest. I guess the universe just doesn't want us to play against each other in front of no crowds, I reckon, Mitch. So hopefully in 2022.
Mitch Cleary, 7 News.
Victorian paceman James Pattinson has announced his shock retirement from Test cricket. The 31-year-old has been struggling with a knee injury and has decided to hang up the boots despite being in Ashes contention this summer. Pattinson played 21 tests. Meanwhile, Victoria's cricketers will get their first chance to press their claims for an Ashes berth with confirmation. They'll head to Sydney next week to face New South Wales in a Sheffield Shield clash. The Renegades were looking to remain unbeaten to start the WBBL season, but limped to 6 for 126 against the Strikers. Adelaide was able to chase down the total with relative ease in the 18th over, handing the Gades an 8-wicket loss. While Ben Simmons has been causing headaches in Philadelphia after being suspended for their season opener, the Milwaukee Bucks were presented with championship rings before their first game of the NBA season. And it was no surprise the Greek Freak dominated with 32 points. Paddy Mills knocked down 7 threes in his debut for the Brooklyn Nets, but it wasn't enough as the Bucks took a 127-104 win. Hollywood celebrities were on hand for the Lakers season opener against Golden State. LeBron James scored 34 points, but Steph Curry cooked up a storm, helping the Warriors to a 121-114 win. In the Champions League, Lionel Messi had ice in his veins, chipping a penalty to lead Paris Saint-Germain to a 3-2 win over RB Leipzig. Former Socceroos coach Ange Postecoglou helped keep Celtic's hopes of making the knockout stage of the Europa League alive, the Scottish Giants scoring a 2-0 win at home. Ange is having a very interesting time over there, but that is a great victory.
Yes, it is indeed. And James Pattinson would be handy at the Ashes if he was fully fit, wouldn't he?
That's right. Very young to retire, but the injuries just have struck him down.
Such a shame. Thank you, Tim. Jane is next with the forecast. And Jane, we're hoping the warmth is here to stay.
Well, Mitch, it is for 2 more days, but there's a big change due later on Friday. I'll have all those details after the break.
Know the headlines as they break. Know the stories as they happen. With 7news.com.au, know the news now.
Hello on a lovely day across Melbourne. The bay is glistening in this pleasant sunshine. Now, this is just the first day. We're staying warm and dry until the next big weather change arrives later on Friday. Then in typically poor timing, it's cold and wet for our first night out. The city began on 8 and it reached 23 late this afternoon. Gippsland still had showers streaming through today. They're only over eastern Gippsland tonight. Otherwise, it's sunny and warmer out there with just a bit of wispy high cloud coming in from the west. A high to our southeast brings wet weather to Gippsland and sunshine to the rest of Victoria. But the next weather system is crossing the Bight. The first part of that is actually going to slide away to our south. Then we'll see the second part of it on Friday. So today was the nicest in Melbourne in terms of bright sunshine, but it remains warm and dry tomorrow and for much of Friday. Then the next cold front has terrible timing. As soon as we're allowed to head out to pubs and restaurants for outdoor dining, it turns cold and wet. Now, I can't stress enough how big a change it'll be. We'll go from warm and dry at lunchtime on Friday to temperatures tumbling as steady rain sets in. It'll be similar to what we saw last Friday, so certainly dress for it if you are heading out. Around the nation tomorrow, lots of light showers in Brisbane. There's the risk of a storm there too that could be severe. Showery in Sydney and over in Perth as well, while Adelaide is pleasant. To Victoria, Gippsland's turn for sunshine tomorrow after early fog, except for showers continuing in the far east. Elsewhere, there's a thicker high cloud than we saw today, but it's generally dry underneath, only the slight risk of a bit of patchy light rain. Then local showers pop up in the southwest at night. Closer in, there's a thicker high cloud out there tomorrow. It's mixed with sunshine. We remain warm and dry. The cloud means it's not as cold at first, then we'll reach the mid-20s. The city's warm and dry, a top of 24. A mix of high cloud and sunshine in a breezy northerly wind doing a bit more of this to my hair tomorrow. So to the 8-day outlook. Friday is interesting. We're out of lockdown and it'll be warm and dry for much of the day. I'm expecting a top of 26. But that all comes to a crashing end around 4 or 5 p.m. Expect a gusty cold wind change. Temperatures will tumble. There is the risk of a thunderstorm on that. And then once that is through, we'll have steady rain through the evening. So if you're heading out, I would certainly suggest pack for cold conditions and for wet weather as well. Now, as we go into the weekend, most of the wet weather will have been overnight. So Saturday, there are showers passing through, so it goes wet, dry, they're hit and miss, most of those during the afternoon. It is cooler, 16 and then 16 for Sunday and for Monday too. But then we'll warm up again as we go through next week, 27, maybe even 25 as we go through the mid part of the week there. So we are warm, dry and breezy tomorrow. It's a top of 24. With that is a mix of sunshine and some high cloud. And it will remain nice until about 5 p.m. on Friday afternoon. Then we head into a cold and wet Friday night, Mitch.
Notice anyone heading out there this evening to catch a bit of calamari, Jane?
Oh, doesn't it look lovely behind me? We've just got a swirly wind thanks to that bay breeze.
A little bit breezy. Thank you very much indeed, Jane. Now, here's what's on Sunrise. Is this Wednesday, the 20th of October. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, good night.